Good morning. This is Mona, and this is my morning view. Today, Fall Edition 2025. It is Feisty Friday. Feisty Friday. My eyebrows are coming in alignment with the feistiness. Oh, okay. So, it probably will not be as feisty as last week. I was pretty feisty last week. Some people scaled me like an 11 out of 10 on my feistiness last week. But it needed to be said. And along with last week's feisty, and I don't know if I really got it out. There are some good people there. And they're in a space where they can't do a lot. They can't. Just surviving is the best that they can do. And so, just keeping that in mind, that when I was talking about annihilating terrorists, that's who I was talking about, terrorists. Okay, and not everybody there. Okay, so, with that, Feisty Friday. Something that's been on my mind all week long, well, not all week, but most of the week, is where we derive our value from, our worth. So, something happened, and my thought was like, I hope that person doesn't go into thinking she doesn't have value because of a situation. Because of the way people responded, the way people act, right? When you take what people think of you, or even what you think they think of you, and attach your value to it, you're setting yourself up for failure. Failure in the sense of degrading yourself. Lowering your net worth. And this not be. See, it is none of your business what other people think of you. That's my feistiness. It's none of your business. If somebody thinks ill of you, that's not your concern, unless you did something to cause them to feel ill of you, in which case you might want to apologize. Okay? So there's that. You do have to take ownership to anything that you have done. But if there was no cause behind the issue, or perhaps it's just lies. The enemy likes to create lies about you, and they use other people to spread them. So it could be all fabricated against you. Now, unless you have to prove your innocence in the court of law, I would say you don't have to worry about them. It doesn't matter what they think. It doesn't even matter what they spread, because the people who know you are going to know whether it's true or not. Otherwise, they might not know you that well for them to believe a lie. Or maybe they'll come and they'll ask. They'll like, hey, did you do this? And you can go, no, I didn't do that. And so then the other person who's spreading the lies is found out to be, ta-da, a liar. If you did something that, said something off the cuff, or did something not without malicious intent, or perhaps you did something and you didn't realize, that the person was going to take offense. Again, offense is something for them to work out. As long as you did not mean it to mean anything. Maybe you were clarifying. Maybe you thought that they weren't respecting you or your wishes, or dismissing you. It doesn't matter what you think about what they think, because you shouldn't be thinking about what they're thinking, because one, you're not in their head. You're not in their head. And because you're not in their head, you really don't know what they're thinking unless they speak honestly of what they're thinking. And then you need to be ready for that if that's what you want to know. And once they have spilled out the beans, then you have to decide whether you're going to be offended, which would then be on you. So we spend entirely too much time worrying about what other people think of us. And what we really need to do is think about what God thinks of us, and not what we think God thinks of us, but what He really thinks of us. Let me give you a hint how much He values you and how much you are worth to Him. His only begotten Son died on a cross, an agonizing, torturous death in your stead. So that you wouldn't have to go through that. You don't have to. Some of us want to be crucified with Christ for a long period of time. Remember, He was on the cross for a couple of hours, and we want to spend our whole life on the cross. Yes, we're to pick up our cross and follow Him. Yes. Yes, we are to die to ourselves. But the torture part, we do that to ourselves. We torture ourselves with the thoughts of what other people are thinking of us. And then we go, oh, I'm just not worthy. I don't have a lot of value. My net worth is, in the friendship realm, is so minimal. It's, we get caught up on what other people think about us and decide what our value is from that. Oh, people with a whole lot of friends, they have so much value. They are worth so much because they just are loaded in friendship. But I'm not really that valued. So let me tell you a story that is not my own. It is a story that many of you have probably already heard, but some of you may need to rehear it. The value of water. The value of water. So I can go down to ShopRite and I can buy a case of water for about $3. 24 bottles for $3. Now, you can do the math if you want, but pretty much you can tell that they are pennies. Maybe some nickels and dimes. Okay. In value at ShopRite. And the people that go to buy water at ShopRite, we're frugal. We're gonna buy the water when we can, when it's on sale, and that. But then the same people who buy water at ShopRite, me for example, will go to a ball game, a high school ball game, and I'm thirsty. I need a drink. So I have a bottle of water for about $1. So you can buy a bottle of water for about $1. Maybe a little more. It's a fundraiser. Fundraisers are usually a little bit more expensive than what you would think they would be. The same bottle of water at maybe I'm trying to think of what they're called, hospitality stop on the highway. I can't think of what they're called, so I'll just call it that, hospitality stop on the highway. And they have the machines there, and it might cost $2.50 for the same bottle of water. And then you go to the airport. Ooh. The airport, the same bottle of water may cost you $6. $6 for the same bottle of water. What is different about that bottle of water? And its value? Was something extra done to it? That it would cost more? It's always the perception of the individual and the need for the water. So the same in our lives, that just because somebody doesn't think that we have a whole lot of value, so they're like, you're dismissed. We don't want to be friends with you because, well, you know, you're just a bottle of water. But in desperate times, guess who comes rolling around? Yeah. I remember friends when I was a kid. My Memory Monday moment. I remember kids that were bestie friends. Bestie. And they would get into some kind of disagreement, and they were like, I'm not going to be your friend anymore. So they would walk away for about 2 weeks. And for about 2 weeks, I had a friend. Because it was like, oh, well, I need a friend. So Mona's here. So I'll be her friend. So, you know, because I'm not going to be her friend anymore. And then in 2 weeks pass, all is forgiven because they're besties, right? And they really were besties. So they would go back to playing and I would be to the curb. So, and it didn't bother me because with girls just are so drama. When I was a kid, it was girl stuff. I was a tomboy, you know, let me climb trees and run fast and, you know, do that type of thing. So the value depended on the need. But here's another one. Okay. I can go to ShopRite and buy a case of water for $3. Or I could go get a bottle that's in glass, so it doesn't have any plastic garbage creeping into it. I can get a glass bottle and probably spend about $5 for about the same amount. Now, when I go there, I see the larger bottles think they might have them in the case. See, I don't buy that water. But there are people that see the value of the water just being in a different container. Just being in a different container. Because what is water? H2O. H, hydrogen, 2, and oxygen. That's it. That's what water is. H2O. Now, maybe they're filtered a little bit better, taste a little bit better, but for the most part, it's just a different container. Right? But the value that people see in it, because it's a different container. So when you walk around wringing your hands, worried about what other people think, you are not as approachable. You are not in a different container. But if you lift your head up and you smile, even if you have crooked teeth, yellow teeth from drinking coffee, if you smile, if you don't get all distressed, if you don't, hello, I'm doing a video here, Miss Star of the Show. Where are you at? Right there. You're right there. And what you barking about? There she is. She had to get her moment. All right. So, if you're all stressed out and worried all the time about what other people think, you don't have time to have fun. You don't have that space to have joy. Because you're consumed with what others think of you. And then creating your value on that. When their opinion of you just really doesn't matter. Because only God's opinion of you is what matters. It's nice to be liked. It is. It's nice to have friends that like you and enjoy your company and are there for you. But that's not what determines your value. Your value was determined on the cross. Jesus would pay the $6 for the glass bottle. He would. He has the option of buying the 24 case for $3. There's some really fancy places that you can go and the glass jar is even higher priced. And the people aren't foolish. They know they're getting water. But they're willing to pay the price. Because they see it as a value where they're at in that establishment. Sometimes it depends on where you are. Where you are and what kind of container you're in. You know, you want to hang out with the Yardbirds. You have the $3 a case people. And a lot of times they're like, nah, I'll pass on the water. That's fine. Because you're going to find somebody who's willing to pay the price. And see the value in who you are. Who you are on the inside. not just the container. Not just the... Yeah, I'm not talking about a facade. I'm not talking about pretending to be happy. I'm talking about getting rid of the worry about what other people think. It makes the difference. But Jesus doesn't buy you for the container. People will buy you for the container. Jesus won't buy you for the container. But he'll pay the price of the glass container for you. Because you are worthy to him. Otherwise, why would he give his life for you if you had no inherent value? Why would he give his life for you if you meant nothing? You are valued. That's all I have for you today. So now it's commercial time. Go over to YouTube, Mona E. Harrison, because this video will be taken down in 30 days off of Facebook. But on YouTube, you have them there. And I have videos going back through March. And you can go there and you can watch any of them on fast speed. This one will be uploaded tonight or tomorrow. So go back and go to Mona E. Harrison on YouTube. Hit subscribe. Hit notifications. Both on YouTube and Facebook. Like, comment, share. Because it helps the algorithm. Lets other people see it if you feel like it has value to the content. And have a great weekend. Have a great weekend. All right. Thank you, Jennifer, for watching. Blessings, everybody. Have a great day. And I will see you Monday.